Oh, really?
I'm going to call this 5:20 work session to order. This is going to be for 2 people being sworn in for the fire department, and I will turn that over to Chief Schellenberg.
Yeah, tonight we have 2 different promotions here. We have Stephen Fuchs was a part-time employee of ours for a little bit over a year. Has went through all of our training. Has gone on and got some other things in between. Real good candidate. He's been working full-time now for a month or so here, so we got him to be able to get promoted tonight to full-time ranks. And our other gentleman tonight is Patrick Martinez, and he's going to be promoted to lieutenant. He went through a testing process. A lot of people applied this time because we got a lot of young guys, so pretty intense. They had a written test, interview process, and also a assessment on the TV. So I'm proud to have both of them being promoted and being on our team for full time now. And they bring a lot of different assets that we have now. Patrick was in the military, and as you look at his arms tonight, we're starting a program that we're going to recognize the military with a red stripe on there. So as we get to each person, we'll change their Class A uniform. Patrick was in the military for a few years before he joined our department. So you know, and we have probably three or four now that have been in the military that work full time for us. And Stephen worked for a couple different agencies part-time, has gone through a lot of different trainings to get where he's at. So going to have the trustees will swear you in this evening, and Trustee Sable's
So I'll do this. We'll swear you guys in first, then we'll do the official pinnings, present the helmets individually. So if you guys want to come up, you can stand right there. You don't have to get up on the podium. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Patrick Martinez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution,
that I will support the Constitution,
laws and resolutions
laws and resolutions
of the United States,
of the United States,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
and Plain Township.
and Plain Township,
And I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties as a
discharge my duties as a lieutenant
of the Plain Township Fire Department,
of the Plain Township Fire Department,
protecting life and property,
protecting life and property,
respecting the rules,
respecting the rules,
regulations,
regulations,
and policies
and policies,
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations, gentlemen. I'm proud of you. So let's do this. You guys, Pat, why don't you stay up there? Patrick, stay up there. Steve, have a seat. And then we'll do the pinning. Yeah, let's go there. So, is somebody going to pin you?
Yeah.
Oh, she can go up there. Absolutely. I wouldn't want it any other way.
How cute is that?
And then afterwards, we'll do pictures. So Patrick, you can, sorry. All right, Steve, you're next. Anybody that wants to take pictures now, you can, usually we try to take at least with a group of your brothers that have come to watch this ceremony. So however you guys want to do it, if you want to get individual pictures first. It's pretty informal right now, so just kind of figure out how you want to do it. If you want one of us to snap a picture, don't be afraid to ask. I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to all. We have a little bit of an unusual opening. We are going to go into executive session first, but before we do that, our fiscal officer is sick and not able to be at the meeting, so I am going to make a motion to appoint Luther Russer, fiscal officer pro tem. Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
We will update the agenda after the executive session, but I am going to make a motion, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:02 p.m. from this meeting of December 10th is authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of the consideration of number 3, a conference with the law director or other retained counsel concerning pending or imminent court action.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Executive session at 6:19. Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
We do have a 6:15 p.m. zoning hearing. I will turn that over to our zoning director, Mr. Foreman.
Thank you, sir. We have 2 resolutions tonight. The zoning commission considered both and recommended to the board, recommended approval to the board. The first resolution is 57419, dealing with the definition of skill-based amusement machines. And the second is the removal of type C skill-based amusement machine as a permitted use in a B2 and an I1 zoning district. If you look at the paperwork in front of you, 57419, or zoning 3, you'll see that the what the zoning commission voted to approve is, Eric, can you explain that?
The
They
definition?
shortened it, yeah.
Yeah. They voted to approve defining skill-based amusement machines as outlined in the current version of the Ohio Administrative Code. If you look at your seats, you have the Ohio Administrative Code section 3772-50-01 entitled Definitions. If you look at page 3, under V, W, and Y, you'll see type A, type B, and type C skill-based amusement machines defined there. And the ones that we are removing from the 2 zoning classifications are the type Cs. So not the, the claws or the stuff at like, a restaurant or something like that.
And this is the terminology of the Ohio Gaming Commission.
That's correct. The Casino Control Commission. Yeah.
The type A and B are the type of machines you would find in Chuck E. Cheese or,
Dave and Buster's,
yeah,
both
they-
in Jackson Township, though.
both in Jack.
But again, I want to be clear here. Again, we're using high-level analogies here for these different type of machines because as far as I'm aware, nobody here on our staff, on this board, or legally is certified and trained by the Ohio Casino Control Commission
Correct.
on delineating the difference between a slot machine versus a skill.
That's right.
Correct. And zoning, well, we'll go into zoning 4. Did you want to cover that now? Just cover both of them, or
Yeah,
one at a time?
we'll do one at a time, but, any other questions regarding that? Any other information? So the second one
Well,
then.
it is a public hearing.
Yeah,
So let's
so,
ask for if we want to take any for or against.
so is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak against the amendments? For the record, there is none. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the amendments? And again, for the record, there is none. Anything else?
No.
So, do I have to make a motion to close the hearing?
Still have to go to the second.
We have to go with the second
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, the
Yep.
second one, yes.
Zoning 4 is an amendment adopting the removal of type C skill-based amusement machines as permitted uses in B2 and I1. This leaves I2 zoning districts for the skill-based amusement machines.
Based upon, because we don't have the map, well, what do we have as far as I2 districts? We've got, is it just the, down here by the old concrete? The old concrete?
Yeah, we got some up north.
Where at, Tom?
Yeah.
That's the
So essentially,
904 one.
yeah. Let's see here, because that's middle,
That's 62.
or 62.
It's probably, yeah, probably Mahoning Road.
Yes,
Out,
correct.
out on Mahoning Road.
And then
on
Diamond,
Middle
Diamond.
Branch.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the old Diamond Portland.
yeah.
Anything else on that?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to testify against this amendment? For the record, seeing none. Anybody in the audience that wishes to testify in favor of this amendment? Again, for the record, we have none. Now,
Yes.
okay, that concludes the hearing on those two zoning amendments. So getting back to the regular agenda, it is before us. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Yes.
Unfinished business, item number 1, I just want to talk about the speed signs.
Okay.
Unfinished, yeah.
Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, the agenda will stand as edited. That takes us to the sheriff's report. Sergeant Koenig, welcome again.
Nice seeing you. Before you should have the November 2019 monthly report. Our calls for service were down slightly compared to 2018. We had 1,423 total calls for service. Excuse me. We also handled 40 crashes and 3 crashes with injury. Both were significantly down compared to 2018. Our alarms, however, were up 15% with 109 for the total month. And our traffic stops, so our guys found other ways to stay busy since the calls were slightly down. 275 traffic stops, 134 citations, and 98 arrests is 81% increase over what we had last year. So definitely busy in other areas. We completed 133 vacation checks. Detective Ross handled 14 assigned cases with 5 closures, most of which resulted in either an arrest or a grand jury indictment. You should also have in front of you the comparable 2018 to 2019, as well as the November yearly report. The yearly is still showing, fairly high compared to what we were seeing 2017 and those prior years. We're starting to see it's still an increase overall compared to what we have, or what we've had. And then just an additional, there's some things that don't really make the reports, that we handle throughout the month. In November, we were busy. We had a couple larger scale cases where we used all of our resources and then some. So we had a couple incidents where we utilized a lot of man hours to get those indictments and arrests on some of the things that we had. So it was a busy month overall. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the sheriff with any issues?
Yeah, we like to stay on his good side.
We should do.
Yeah, so do we.
Appreciate that.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks. That takes us to unfinished business.
Thanks, I just wanted to put on the record, we had discussed the speed signs last meeting, but Joe is actually getting some traffic counts done by RPC. So we were to bring it back this time to discuss, but we want to get all the information that we can before we bring anything back to the board, so.
Along with the accident.
Yep, he's got all that information, so instead of just bringing Peace Park, we're gonna wait until we have it all.
Okay,
That's
good.
that.
Thank you.
And that's the end of unfinished.
Okay, nothing in new business. That takes us to the fiscal officer's report.
Okay, thank you,
Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman. The first item on the agenda is the request for resolution to authorize the payment of the pending warrants in the amount of $198,169.75 as attached.
So moved. Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Okay. Fiscal officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of the regular payroll.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Okay. The third item on the agenda is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of the following medical claims as provided by AltCare.
I will move on fiscal officer number 3.
Second it?
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Then fiscal officer number 4 is the financial report for your review.
Okay, if there's any specific questions, then get back to you.
Okay. Fiscal officer number 5 is the August bank reconciliation for your review.
Looks good.
Yep.
Okay.
6.
And fiscal officer number 6 is the Bureau of Workers' Compensation prospective premium due on December 23rd for an early payment discount in the amount of $132,848.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Okay, fiscal officer number 7 is a resolution to authorize the following transfer of funds.
I'll move on fiscal officer number 7.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 8 is to authorize payments to members of the zoning boards of appeal and commission for the period from July 1st, 2019 through December 31st of 2019 at the rate of $50 a meeting for a grand total of $1,700.
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
Mr. Sable.
Yes.
And that concludes the fiscal
Thanks,
officer's
Luther.
report.
That takes us to the administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize payment to the treasurer of the state of Ohio for the stormwater MS4 annual discharge fee in the amount of $2,100 from 01A26E.
I will move on administrator number 1.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Yes, this is the unfunded mandate from the Ohio EPA, and it's based on $10 for 1/10 of a square mile of each mile in Plain Township, so no choice in this one.
Okay. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sable,
Yes.
and Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment to Baker Dugal for professional services in an amount not to exceed $4,273.50 from Fund 01A10.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sable,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment to Earth and Wood for hauling of yard waste in an amount not to exceed $9,765 to be paid from 01A26Y.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Yes, Joe, how many more yards do you think is back?
Probably 40 more dumpsters, so another 1,600 yards still to go.
Yeah.
They take three a day.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sable,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Okay, item number 4 is a resolution to set an open date of May 1st, 2020 for the Plain Township residents only yard waste site.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Yes, we are now up and operational on our website that you residents can go on and follow the instructions to receive their yard waste card. If somebody doesn't have access to internet or a computer, we have a computer set up in the hallway and we'll be more than happy to help them.
Awesome. Well, hopefully this will take care of resolve.
Subsidizing non-residents.
Yeah, and we're hoping, May 1st date, every year, it just depends how it falls, but there still will always be that November close.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sable,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
And that ends the
Thanks,
administrative
Lisa. That
report.
takes us to the fire department, Chief Schallenberger.
Thank you. Item number 1 is our monthly report. Some of the pictures on there, obviously we had our Veterans Day program that everybody participated in. And then we partnered with the ninth graders at Glen Oak High School for the food drive. So we were able to help them contribute more to their program over there to give food away this Thanksgiving season.
Nice. Good. Cause. Anything significant in the report?
But the times are pretty much within reason and
Okay.
nothing different there. Item number 2 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the reimbursement to Joe Teal for the amount of $400 for health care membership according to provision 37 of the collective bargaining agreement.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sable.
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment for attending the crash course conference in Columbus on May 2nd and 3rd, not to exceed $2,600 from Fund 10A, 15A.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sable.
Yes.
And that concludes fire department.
Thank you. That takes us to road, Mr. Ice. Mr. Iacino?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the November monthly report. If you have any questions.
New building's moving along?
Actually, the new building is completed. AEP came today and hooked up the meter, so now all we need is the final inspection. Hopefully we can get that done this week.
Nice. Very nice.
Nice job.
Good job.
Really a nice building.
Looks like it never ends when you look at it from one end to the other.
Thank God it's much more functional than,
Oh, the mold is there.
Yeah.
It's not close. Great.
Yeah. Okay, number 2.
Item number 2 is a resolution to amend Resolution 19-169 passed on April 9th for the design proposal of the Plain Township Road Department storage building completed by Capley Architects. The additional amount was added to the original quote of $15,550 and another $5,087.41, making a final payment $20,637.41.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
He did a lot of extra for us guys
Yeah.
so after we hired him. So.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
and Mr. Sable.
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of an undercarriage and wheel transporter assembly for from MTech for the portable mainline pipe TV inspection systems.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? This just gives us more latitude with
To
Size of
go to
pipe.
the size of pipe for
just makes perfectly good
Money-
sense.
money-
tracks on the existing one, sit too close to the bottom on the bigger pipe.
it's money well spent. What this has already saved us,
We've used it a lot.
folks trying to state claims, and we've been able to
Really.
Yeah, plus it's helped us when we find stuff, find clogs and find people that ran pipe through our pipes.
Well, we can either rule out or confirm.
Right,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
either way.
It's a great
it's-
tool.
Yeah.
It's great. Well,
Great tool to have.
Yes.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sable.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. That takes us to zoning.
Thank you, sir. Item number 1 is the monthly report.
Okay, number 2.
Item number 2 is a resolution to declare item A as a nuisance abatement.
I will move on zoning 2A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
I do. Is that those vehicles?
Yes.
So we got the 2 that were, how many we have to get, how many?
I think it's 2.
2. Good job. The other ones work.
Yes.
Good job on that.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
Mr. Sable.
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to adopt zoning amendment 57419, revising the definition of skill-based amusement machine in Article 4 of zoning resolution.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
We'll make sure this information is passed along to all necessary parties.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sable,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution to remove Type C skill-based amusement machines as a permitted use in B2 and I1 zoning districts.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Just, again, we'll make sure this is passed along to the proper parties, and furthermore, type C, we're going off the Ohio Administrative Code, the Ohio Casino Control Commission's definitions, which they would have to ultimately inspect to validate what type of machine it is. Again, because we are not trained professionals, nor the statutory authority for those that lack the acumen and understanding of township form of government responsibilities.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sable,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to reappoint Terrence Seeberger to the Board of Zoning Commission.
I will so move.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
And Terry's proven to be a
Absolutely.
consistent, fair, objective, critical thinking representative. I know over the years we've had some nuances within those boards trying to get the reins tightened in here. These boards are working pretty good. Terry's one of the key drivers for that.
I would agree. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
And lastly, item 6 is a resolution to reappoint Richard Beck to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion? I think we could say the same.
Absolutely.
There too as well.
Yes.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
And that is all for zoning.
Thanks, Tom, and then if you could just pass along our appreciation for their
Will do.
previous service and looking forward to them. Okay, that takes us to parks.
Thank you, gentlemen. I did not remind my secretary to put it on this meeting as we switch meetings, and that's my fault, but you do have a hard copy of your monthly report in front of you. I'll take questions as needed. Luther also has a copy for the record.
I'd just like to say nice work by all of the township staff at Winterfest
Oh, that was
here.
awesome.
So, a little lighter turnout than used to, but with everything that's been going on, state championship, football games Friday,
It
Atlanta
was a way-
downtown Thursday.
Leave it to Rob, he mapped it out, like everything that had gone on, and we kept our same date, which is good, because had we gone to Saturday, it would have been, but
Exactly.
still an excellent turnout, and
It was. I think we fought, typically we're the week after Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's earlier, which means we beat a lot of the other events. But with the way that the dates fell this year, we competed with state football, we competed with First Friday, we competed with Light Up Downtown the night before, we competed with 3 other community events the next night. So it's just one of those odd years where we fell in the middle of a lot of other things going on. But it was a great event, and I'd like to echo that. I think it was well done by the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to public speaks. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board at this time? Okay, seeing none, we do, I will make a motion for the approval.
We never asked for it. I had something under concerns of trustees, just the SCOG update. Real quick.
Okay.
If you
Yep.
don't mind. Meeting was last week, essentially covered the budget. The SCOG budget's gonna be down in 2019 by about a little over $57,000. Some of that administration costs are down due to no tactical, medical contractor, no audit. The crime lab's down slightly. It doesn't reflect any anticipated retirement expense and does allow for anticipated pay increases in the city of Kent for crime lab employees. Metro, there was a slight bump to better align with insurance costs, and then, of course, the most important thing, beginning of year resolutions, appointing our SCOG representative and our alternate. So it was pretty much like a rocket docket meeting. But I just want to pass that along.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will move for the approval of the November 26, 2019 minutes.
So moved.
And I will second them. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
yes, I would like to go on record and thank Lauren Beskett. Tom is so sick right now, and having come from the fiscal office, she just slid over. We all wanted to do anything we could do to help, and she
did an amazing job.
She did
Yeah.
an amazing job, and we probably gave her one of the more difficult meetings because there was so
A
much
lot of
public
interaction.
exchange, but never complained, and that just shows really the teamwork that we have between the two offices.
Mr. Wolf was gonna postpone it till the next
Yes.
meeting.
because he does it himself, but
Sure.
that's a
And
teamwork.
we have done that before,
Yes.
but that's really nice that
It
he
really
doesn't have to
was.
worry about coming
That's
back to
right,
that.
being so sick in my
Yeah.
back.
Very good.
The value of cross-training and team support.
Well, and having a team, you know, a fiscal officer that works with us, which is great.
I would agree. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
And we do have a need for an executive session. Be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:46 PM from this regular meeting of December 10th as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of consideration of 1F, compensation of a public employee or official, and 3, a conference with the law director or other retained counsel concerning pending or imminent court action.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.